19th, 2025. We are on the cusp of one of the most holy days for the Christian religion, which, of course, I have promised one of my subscribers to call it by what they consider its proper name, which is Resurrection Sunday. This one is entitled Easter Truce, not because of the name that I'm choosing, but because of what they choose. They're calling this an Easter Truce. It is not completely, they're seeing how it goes. It's not going so well right now. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking about other things. But before we get started, this channel has effectively been demonetized. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? So you're able to go back through and look at analytics, and I've noticed some problems in the last month. Things that have been like, whoa, what's this? Things that, never really have happened before. And I started to look into just certain little numbers and everything and compare and contrast to where things were. And now, even though I am on the ad, revenue thing and a partner and yada, yada, yada, they effectively don't pay me anything for anything I do here. Now, full disclosure, I used to make about $6 to $12 a video. And that was for, 1,000, 1,500 views. I had a video last week that made 1,100 views, just under. It's 1,089, if I remember correctly. It made $2.50, $2.58. Now, I don't want to come here and be like, and like give the whole song and dance and stuff. But, they have effectively demonetized it. Average crisis report starts sometime in the morning, go through, and when I get my first little break, take about 30 to 45 minutes and do it. And then after, I get home from work, I put about another 30 to 45 minutes in, okay? So you're talking about, we'll say 1 to 2 hours. And then, of course, I come here and I do this, which takes about a half hour. Now, I would do this anyway. And this isn't anything that, I do it anyway. I'm interested. My interests are in this whole thing going on. And then to put it together and find because there's, for everything you see, there's 2 things that I don't use. And put it out to you. So I'm doing this anyway. So I'm not looking for some major payday. And as I stated the other day, I use this money to pay for my children's schooling. I'm putting them in a Christian school. And to the person that was chastising me for doing that, you know where to go and how to get there. But the point I'm making is, at this point, there's no money in this whatsoever. $2.58 in 2025 is insulting, to be honest. And it's what they're doing. It's the whole thing they're doing. They can't stop you, so they try to silence you. They can't outright silence you, so they do all this other stuff. They come and they try all these games and things. And, looking back through is very interesting. No stranger to games. There was April 10th, 2023 to June 16th, 2023. I didn't come here at all because I was basically about to be losing the channel. It's been multiple times where this channel has been on the rocks with multiple strikes and everything else. And so, when that happens, you just kind of put it down and you go away, and then a few months go by and you get off the, the radar, and then you come back and you do it again. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like YouTube. I do. I like being here. I like having the community. PrepperNow's doing fine for the most part. You get your down kind of areas. Spring and winter, January to April, is notoriously a lesser time, and I don't discount that. But what is going on is very noticeable manipulation. This channel has been absolutely loathed by the people in the back since its inception. I started this channel in November of 2020 because at that time, lots of channels were being taken down. You were not allowed to speak about stuff, and there was a certain something that was being rolled out. Well, I prided myself of going and being a voice of reason against all that, well before other people, getting into multiple fights, having to stave off multiple issues, almost to the point with my own relationship with my wife. But I held my ground. And I believe, because I don't know if it's because of my conviction to be a sober, recovering alcoholic or what, but I can't lie or BS. And I'm a human being. I've lied before. I'm not saying I don't and haven't, but I'm just saying I have a real connection and what I feel is a duty to be truthful. If I mess up, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, yo, I got that wrong, or I messed up, or that was whatever. And the reason why you haven't heard me do that too much is because I don't have to. This channel called on January 25th, 2022, a major event that happened on February 24th, 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine. I said, there will be war. The video's still out there. It's on ODYSEE now, if you want to see it. The point I am making is, there is a concerted effort to stop this channel. Now, I don't know what it is about this channel they don't like. I don't know why in the back or who in the back and why this one is targeted more than PrepperNow. Maybe they just want me to focus her. I don't know. And I'm stubborn enough to know that I'm just not going to sit down. You know, I really do pride myself at being a stubborn SOB sometimes, in really putting it out there and just, for whatever it's worth, just letting it all hang out and being truthful and finding things. Some things I don't, like. I don't, there's things I find that are going on with the administration who I voted for. There are things that I find that are going on in the Middle East, and I report it because I don't like it, but at the same time, to really fully understand something, you need to see it from both angles. There's been multiple times I've come on this channel and talked about numbers that were put out by Hamas. And people say, why are you doing that? Those are lies. And there's multiple times that the same broadcast, I'll come out and I'll put numbers by Israel. And they'll say, why are you doing that? Those are lies. Because you have to see both. You have to understand both. Sometimes you have to look at things that are uncomfortable. Because if you don't, well, you're not going to really have an evolved view. So I'm not going to come and start to, get mad. And I was thinking about sending an email and everything else. I got screenshots. And I'm very detailed. I've got numbers and stuff through the last few years. And, I do my taxes and do everything. So I've got everything if I need to do it. Like I can look at things and kind of show you the way things are going. And I thought about just emailing them, but I know it won't do anything. I know that this is a soulless, lifeless entity platform currently losing in the courts because of other things they're doing for ad revenue. It's a corporation. A corporation literally means the body. It's a bunch of faceless people that make a crap load of money off the backs of a lot of people that are creators. And why do I come and say this? It's because I've got a lot of friends now in this community, and some of them make their entire livelihoods on it. And if they're screwing me over, I can't imagine what they're doing to those people. I hope they're not. I hope I'm the only one. But I care about this community. I care about this platform. I care about the truth. And I just want to say, I appreciate every single one of you and all of you. I wish I could say I'm not going to come here and bellyache about these things and everything. But, I mean, this is just, at this point, what they're doing is, because they're losing. Let's be honest. Their narrative is being lost. The only people on their side are literally mentally ill people. I'm going to end this broadcast with something for you to consider. It's about a recent story I've been talking about. But I just want you to know I really appreciate all of you guys being here and everything else. Please consider being a member. You know, almost a third of that goes to, the platform. So, but it does have the effect of kind of getting them off my back. And I think at some point they will get off my back. And, I put this out here a few days ago. And there are a lot of people like, I don't like Rumble. Please don't go over there. Yada, yada, yada. And I don't want, I'm nothing without you guys. So, and I'm sure I'll get some troll fuck who will come in and say, that's very easy to say. But like, I really do try to take a passionate approach to this and put it together because there's a lot of people out there that are just busy. They don't have the time to find all this and read all this. And I'm not just chucking out analysis because for the heck of it, I'm a guy that comes with 3 degrees in a teaching of history, which I've done for over a decade now. So I want to see when you put on this channel, you strap the earbuds on, you mow your lawn, you garden, you make a sourdough, you work on something with your hands, whatever, and you can just kind of sit back for about 30 minutes and hear everything. And I mean everything. To the point of redundancy. So you can hear it from multiple views and everything else. So to YouTube, first and foremost, I say thank you for making me a partner and letting me be here for over 5 years now. But at the same time, have a little bit of respect for what people are doing here and what people are trying here. And I know that there's, I don't think there's people in the back that listen. I think they set, an algorithm to whatever, stun, kill, whatever. This one I think is on kill. PrepperNow's on stun. And that's okay. But we're not going to live in a free society if they make it so you can't hear all sides. They make it so they can't trust you with just information. And if someone comes out with a counterintuitive other viewpoint where they sit there and try to shut you down, shut you up, and say it's misinformation, disinformation, or whatever, that's not a free society. I've said this many times. I'm not here for me. I'm here for my kids on multiple levels. I'm here for my kids so I can have a little bit of a side hustle, so I can put them in a really good school and they can learn about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and we can celebrate Resurrection Day. And I hear them talk about, all the time, and they bring home work, and it's great. But also, I care about what kind of a future they have. I care about what kind of a country they have. And there's a lot of illogical, unreasoned problems. And there's a lot of decline to our society. And I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix it. With the exception of 2 things. That's being an excellent example for my children and being a good dad, being there like I was today, all day long today. I had my 2 kids, my wife with my other one in multiple, in different sports ball events. They're from I got up at 5:30 this morning. And I'm not looking for someone to applaud me for that. We all should be doing that by default. But the point I'm making is that I really do have a passion for this. I care about this. And I just wish that the treatment of those in the background, and they could do it. This is a multi-billion-dollar company that at many points promotes and pushes some of the most banal and terrible culture on the planet to the point of changing our children. I just hope that they might start to rethink and think, you know what, maybe we should, be a little bit more just of an open, free platform for people and just let the cards fall where they may. Let things be a little bit more organic and not try to manipulate everything and always push a narrative and just be, suck it up to the rich people that pay them in the background and, tell them what to promote and what to push. I don't expect that to happen. But again, I just want to try. So, all right, 15 minutes. I can put in the thing. 15 minutes is where we're starting with the news. Thanks for being on the Crisis Report. Hit the like button. Do consider becoming a member. If not, it's cool. I get it. You don't have to pay me or anything like that. And that's why I say this. It's not about you paying me. It's about proper compensation from people that are making, revenue from me, because they are. The ad people pay it, and it goes to them. Here we go. Iran, U.S. nuclear talks start in Rome, Iranian state TV. Trump exposes MS-13 tattoos on Abrego Garcia's knuckles. Wife covered them with emojis in a fundraiser photo. Again, because we live in a world of lies. Ecuador is on maximum alert over an alleged hit plot against recently reelected President Daniel Noboa. Putin announces Easter truce in Ukraine on conflict. So I do that on TV. U.S. Supreme Court intervenes to block Trump deportations, again, because we live in a bizarro world. With the help of Russia, Iran is building one of the most powerful space programs in the Middle East. Iran will be capable of launching satellites, rockets, and ballistic missiles from Chabahar, where a huge infrastructure for such purposes has been built for 4 years, which is the equivalent of Florida's Cape Canaveral. Israel is considering to attack Iran's nuclear facilities to undermine negotiations with Trump, according to Reuters. Ukrainian President Zelensky rejected Russian Easter truce in his proposal, according to the Washington Post. Poland has enacted a new law effective April 17, 2025, that bans photography and video recording at more than 25,000 strategic sites across the country. These sites include not only military facilities, but also civilian infrastructure, vital to national security, such as bridges, tunnels, ports, communication hubs, and industrial plants, especially those connected to weapons, manufacturing, storage, or repair. Sites are marked with red and white, no photography signs, and violations can result in fines of 5,000 to 20,000 zlotys, arrest for up to 30 days, and confiscation of recording devices. The ban was introduced in response to increased espionage threats, particularly amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. When I was in Vietnam in 2016, I decided to take a picture of a communist party, like enclave or whatever, it was in the bottom of this building. And man, I took one picture with my phone, and two guys came out and stopped me and said, delete that now, which of course I showed them and deleted them. But it really, that's not the kind of society you want to be in. According to reports, Germany has blocked the sale of approximately 30 to 36 Eurofighter Typhoon jets to Turkey after the arrest of Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, a leading opposition figure and potential presidential challenger to Recep Tayyip Erdogan. İmamoğlu was arrested on March 23rd on corruption charges widely seen by critics as politically motivated. His detention sparked mass protests across Turkey and drew sharp condemnation from the German government, which described the arrest as an attack on Turkish democracy. It's always rich when Erdogan comes on and wags his finger at other people in the Middle East and stuff when he's doing that kind of a crap. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that Russia has concentrated over 60,000 troops on the Sumy direction as of mid-April 2025. Europe faces a decade of turbo rearmament, according to De Bild. This forecast was published by the Institute of the German Economy in Cologne regarding the threat from U.S. President Donald Trump to withdraw troops from Europe. Problem is that the current plans of Bundeswehr, which cost hundreds of billions of euros, do not account for the possibility of withdrawing the Americans' contingent. Compensating for such a loss would take 10 to 12 years. And while the West rearms Putin, as expected, will exploit the situation and attack. Therefore, the authors of the forecast demand European armies must be ready to fight against Russia, and that in the near future, in 2028 or even sooner. Why not tomorrow, it asks. Well, I think you'd be lying to yourself if you didn't think that there's at some point going to be conflict between Europe and Russia. There's too many people of the evil type, people like Klaus that really want that. And the reason why is because they need to reset things. They have literally strip mined the entire society we have here of every nickel, every soul, everything. And they have to restart over because there's never enough. They're vampires. So at some point that will be done because, like in the spirit of build back better, in order to build, you have to destroy. Terror attack killed 56 Christians in central Nigeria. The attack, involving machetes and random gunfire, spared no one, including a 9-month-old baby. I'm sure you haven't heard that on anywhere else besides here on the Crisis Report. An Iranian delegation headed by Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in Rome for the second round of nuclear talks with the United States. Israel hasn't ruled out striking Iran's nuclear sites in the coming months, despite Trump telling Netanyahu the U.S. won't back such action for now. Israeli officials remain firm on preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and demand full disarmament or dismantlement of its program at any deal, according to Reuters. U.S. Supreme Court blocked Trump administration from deporting foreign nationals under the Alien Enemies Act. We'll see. It is a partial, it's like a from what I've read, I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure, it is just a temporary kind of stop as they go and they relook at things. But we'll hear more about that in the coming days. Iran says nuclear deal is possible if Washington is realistic. Iran says a nuclear deal with the U.S. is still possible if they drop unrealistic demands. Iran's red lines are never agreeing to dismantle uranium enrichment, centrifuges, or stopping enrichment altogether. Talks resumed in Rome after initial round in Oman. Iran seeks guarantees Trump won't abandon another pact. Tehran open to enrichment limits but wants protection from future walkouts. China, I don't know if I included this. I'm pretty sure I went over it and didn't, so I could talk about it here as an addendum. They have just successfully taken things to the next level on a thorium reactor. And if you know anything about thorium, it's an interesting concept. It literally would give them thousands of years of next to free energy. Thorium is a substitute and alternative to uranium. And it has a salt core. And basically, if they do it and they get it to where they want it to be, it is in no way, shape, or form as potential for a meltdown like uranium. It is much more safe. It is much less waste. It is literally about as good and clean of energy as you can get. And they are on the precipice of such things. And as the article said, as they're over there doing that, the people in the West are sitting there restarting coal plants. U.S. judge ordered to transfer Turkish PhD student Rümeysa Öztürk from ICE custody in Louisiana to Vermont, calling her arrest over pro-Palestinian op-ed constitutionally concerning. Öztürk, a Fulbright scholar at Tufts, was detained after her visa was revoked. Judge found evidence her detention may be retaliation for protected speech and scheduled hearings in May. Her case has become a flashpoint amid efforts to deport pro-Palestinian voices on U.S. campuses. There's little serious discussion in Washington about the next round of U.S. military aid to Ukraine, congressional allies say. European officials also worry that crucial U.S. intelligence supports may soon fade. Ukraine backs Trump peace plan. Russia's move is next. Ukraine's defense minister told U.S. officials that Kiev agrees with 90% of Trump's peace framework presented in Paris this week. Talks in London this week aim to finalize a full ceasefire offer before presenting it to Moscow as a best and final deal. Now all eyes are on the Kremlin's response. Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski says every Republican senator is afraid of Trump. I'm oftentimes very anxious myself about using my voice because retaliation is real. Japan has pledged $3 billion to loan to Ukraine using frozen Russian assets. Japan has joined the G7's ERA mechanism, offering Ukraine a $3 billion loan backed by profits from foreign Russian sovereign assets, signed by Finance Minister Serhiy Marchenko and Japan's Ambassador Masashi Nakagami. The 30-year loan will fund urgent budget needs and reconstruction. Marchenko noted Japan has given over $8.5 billion to Ukraine since 2022, calling the move a sign of shared values. ERA mechanism taps into the $318 billion in frozen Russian assets abroad, most held in the EU. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi says Israel is the only barrier preventing a Middle East free of nuclear weapons. Iranian officials to Reuters say we are prepared for any possible Israeli strike and the response will be harsh and decisive. Russian Chief of Staff Gerasimov, 99.5% of the territory of the Kursk region has been liberated. Putin has declared a ceasefire in Ukraine on Easter. Russian side will cease all hostilities from 6 p.m. on April 19th to 12 a.m. on April 21st. Putin called on Ukraine to follow Russia's example with an Easter truce. Putin claims that Ukraine has violated the moratorium on strikes against energy facilities more than 100 times. Iranian Foreign Ministry, after the U.S. talks, says the two sides agreed to continue the indirect talks in a few days at technical level to be followed by another round at their own level on coming Saturday. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar, if we cannot release the hostages from Gaza through diplomatic means, we will have to do so through strong military action. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar also said the French will lose their regional influence and harm their standing if they recognize a Palestinian state. Bush. U.S. wants to organize another meeting between Trump's envoy, Witkoff, and Russian representatives to discuss a framework agreement to resolve the conflict in Ukraine, according to CNN. A Mali foreign minister says the talks between the U.S. and Iran are gaining momentum, and what was once unlikely has now become possible. What was once unlikely is now possible. Ukrainian head of the Central Military District, Kovalenko, says there is no truce in all directions. Russian Federation continues to fire as before. Israel's opposition leader, Yair Lapid, says Netanyahu's spokesman's statements are an admission that the government has abandoned the pursuit of the hostages. U.S. jets have carried out 13 airstrikes on Yemen's Hodeidah port and airport, Houthi-affiliated media have reported. European Commission says Russia could stop this war at any moment if it really wanted to. Zelensky says if Russia is suddenly ready to really join the format of complete and unconditional silence, Ukraine will act in a mirror image, as it will be from the Russian side. Silence in response to silence, strikes in defense of strikes, and if complete silence really prevails, Ukraine proposes to extend it after the end of Easter, April 20th. So far, according to the report of the commander-in-chief, Russian assault operations are continuing in some areas of the front, and Russian artillery is not subsiding. Therefore, there is no trust in the words from Moscow. Trump administration is ready to recognize Russian control of Crimea as part of a U.S. proposal to end the war with Ukraine, CNN reports. Japan is considering relaxing auto safety rules for imports as part of the tariff negotiations with the U.S. I think we're going to have a quelling and a calming of the markets and some deals going on in the next month or two. And happy 86th birthday to the leader of the Islamic world. That's right, the steadfast hand on the flag, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei. Happy birthday to you. Antifa activists descended on Westminster to propose, start this again. Antifa activists descend on Westminster to protest the Supreme Court ruling that changers of women to men and men to women, they defaced a statue of national hero Winston Churchill. On today, April 19th, 2025, over 1,000 practitioners of Falun Gong, peaceful Chinese religious movement, persecuted by the communist regime in China, held a grand parade and rally in Flushing, Chinese populated area of New York that I actually used to live very close to. Parade is aimed to commemorate the 26th anniversary of the peaceful appeal by 10,000 Falun Gong practitioners at Zhongnanhai in Beijing, April 25th, 1999. Leading the parade was the renowned Tianguo marching band of the religious movement. It literally is like China there. I used to take the train in, sometimes the 7, sometimes the Long Island, the LIR or whatever. And there was this little like shop right there that sold the buns with the pork inside. You got 3 of those for like $2. It was the steal of a century. I'd go there, get it, get 3 of those things. They'd fill you up for the day. This is back when I wasn't making a lot of money. And get on the train and go into work in Manhattan. So, missed my time in Flushing. It was a really cool time. Definitely like awesome food, incredible sushi. I'd go and there was this Chinese foot doctor. And when I was getting sober, my sponsor at the time said, you have to do something. You have to do something that's going to make you feel good. And so being a bartender and a waiter, I would go in and he would give me these really intensive foot massages that were like painful to the point of queasy. But I have to tell you, after you got done with it, my feet felt like brand new. They were incredible. They're pretty darn cheap too. Great shopping there. If you ever get a chance and you're in New York, take a trip out to Flushing and go see it, because it literally is like a little tiny China. And there's incredible food. There's incredible shops and like street vendors and stuff. It's a really neat experience. I highly recommend it. Al-Mayadeen reports the United States has carried out more than 38 strikes in just 3 hours, hitting multiple locations across Sana'a, Al-Hudaydah, Marib, and Akran governance. I've heard 31, I've heard 38, so 30-something is what we'll go with. Carmelo Anthony's family expanded their fundraiser to include not only legal fees, but also safe relocation, basic living expenses, transportation, counseling, and other security measures. Because they're victims, folks. MSNBC is claiming that Donald Trump has plans to deport African Americans. No, he does not. It's a flat-out lie. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer may face scandal as rumors swirl of CCTV footage allegedly showing him and Lord Ali in compromising positions inside a private office. Keir, you old dog. Prime Minister Netanyahu in tonight's address says if we capitulate to the dictates of Hamas now, all the great achievements of the war, which we achieved with the merit of our soldiers and our fallen and our heroic injured, all these achievements will disappear. As your prime minister, I will not surrender to murderers who committed the worst massacre against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Surrender like this will endanger the country and endanger you. In tonight's address, if we capitulate to the dictates, it's a doubler. So, but yeah, Netanyahu's been playing to the people there, saying, "Hey, can't stop, going to keep pushing." U.S. has massively bombed Yemen tonight. Massive blast, smoke rising from Yemen's capital. At least 21 strikes have been reported. And we're going to end on this one, okay? I want you to take a moment and just think about all this, because it's an interesting take on something that just happened. Austin Metcalf's father dismantled Carmelo Anthony's self-defense claim with a single act, while Anthony's mother wept publicly, claiming fear for her son, who killed 17-year-old Metcalf after refusing to leave a restricted area. Metcalf's father mirrored the scenario. He appeared uninvited at Anthony's press conference, stood silently with one arm in a sling, and refused to leave when asked twice. Security escorted him out without violence. In contrast, when Metcalf asked Anthony to leave and attempted to escort him. Anthony stabbed him in the heart after threatening. Quote, touch me and see what happens, end quote. Metcalf's father's nonviolent defiance has just exposed Anthony's lethal choice. It has undermined his self-defense narrative as his family plays victim while another buries their child. Think about that for one moment. I thought it was interesting. Friends, thank you so much for listening to me and lending an ear. I'm just glad you're here. I want this to stay here. I want it to stay as free as possible. Only riding on the good graces of people when they feel like they want to give something. You, of course, never have to. But being a member like Water Tiger, and I'm not sure who gifted the 10 memberships at the beginning, but thank you very much. I don't really put much out to yield anything for the membership. The membership is just kind of like a, hey man, I can kick you a couple bucks for the month. Thank you so much for taking your time and doing this. And that's kind of what I hope for, you know? So I know the vast majority of you do appreciate me. You respect what's going on. And you come here because, you know, you just want to know. You just want to know what's going on, and you don't got all day. You're busy human beings. We should be doing the things. We should be working our tails off. We should be invested in our families. We should be working hard. We should be prepping. We should be doing all of these things right now because, as you can see when I read this nightly, it's really tough out there. And we're going to have to be all hands on deck. So I hope you're working hard. I hope you're doing the things and prepping and everything is going well for you. I just want to say I really appreciate you, and I wouldn't come back every night if I wasn't invigorated by the oftentimes kind words. Sure, I'll get a butthead comment, I'll get a butthead email, but the vast majority of you really do just lift me up and say, hey man, thanks, or that was great last night, or I really enjoy your sense of humor, or whatever. Like, I like your perspective, your take. I really appreciate that. I mean, I can't say that enough. And I'm kind of having a weird 48 hours because not only of that, but I'm really kind of getting more into my faith, you know? And I don't know what it is about this Resurrection Sunday, but there's just something kind of extra going on, I feel, inside. And so I always feel bad when I cuss, but sometimes I just can't help it. And I think it punctuates the moment. But I just want to pledge that I'm going to keep coming back and doing it here unless they literally have to remove me. And this is a great pleasure to be able to do for you. So if you want to see the transcript of all this, of course, is on PrepperNow.substack.com. Membership is great. Put a few things. I'll be putting more out on Subscribestar and Locals. Like I said, I didn't get home till 8 o'clock today because from 5:30 to 8 p.m. I was supporting my family. Go play some sports ball. My daughter did a great job today. So I was with the young one and the wife's with the old one. They're still there. So, but their team's doing really well. So we'll see. My daughter's team got, they did pretty good. Could have been a little bit better, right in the middle. Could have been worse, could have been better, whatever. So, I don't know. I love sports. I love what it does to our youth and teaches them a lot of valuable lessons on how to learn, how to be good sports, how not to cheat, And, yeah, so thanks, folks. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you tomorrow with another one. God bless. Oh, wait, one more thing. I'm going live on PrepperNow right now. All right, see you later.